before we track the technicals of the market, let's track the weather as well. Mr. G.P. Sharma, the president at Skymet, is joining us to talk to us about how the progress has been so far on the monsoon front. Mr. Sharma, hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for making time and speaking with us. How many more days before the monsoon really hits the southern tip of the country?
Yeah, good afternoon. Say monsoon, it continues to play hide and seek. News is not all that good. Okay. But Skymet had given earlier also onset date, likely 7 June, with a margin of plus minus 3 days. So I think it should happen within those within that margin. Okay. And most likely it should happen around, I feel around 8th, 9th or so. But within that bracket, which we had predicted, it should happen, though it's not going to be a very sound start. It's not going to start with a bang. Okay, possibly a soft landing only confining to some parts. That's a Kerala region. But the good news only is at least the parameters which decide the onset of monsoon, which earlier were totally missing, they have started getting aligned now. And then rainfall will be awaited. At the moment, there is hardly any rainfall over even state of Kerala, which otherwise pours during the pre-monsoon season. So the parameters, as I said, are getting aligned. Winds are getting back to westerlies, which are needed. Strong winds needed for that. So wait another, I say about 4-5 days or so, it should happen. And reason main for this delay is at the moment one system coming up in the Arabian Sea, which possibly become a low pressure today or tomorrow itself and deepen further to a depression. Such system even become a storm also in the early part of June, and they move in the Arabian Sea. But let me tell you, these systems, they do not augur well for the Indian monsoon. Okay, the rainfall gets absolutely confined to the coastal region. The interior parts of South India, peninsular India, they struggle to have some good monsoon showers. Okay, so that's going to be the scenario in the next coming days. Yes.
Right. Mr. Sharma, what can you then tell us about the distribution of monsoon? Does it seem like we're headed in for a normal monsoon across the country this time?
Skymet prediction is below normal, and we stick to that. Okay, as far as the distribution is concerned, you see all these things, monsoon onset, its initial part of advancement, it's not linked with the overall performance of the monsoon as such. But given the scenario wherein the El Nino is all pervasive, it is becoming more and more marked, strengthening. So keeping that in mind, I don't think it's going to spare us totally, and there is a inequitable distribution in such a scenario. Earlier also we have seen during El Nino. And the El Nino, mostly it strikes the northwestern parts and the central parts. Southern parts, to some extent, they get spared, and northeastern parts, it doesn't affect much. So, but then the agri bowl, which we talk about, agri grain bowl, which is the central and the northwestern parts, they take a hit. Okay, so the distribution is not going to be pleasant, I will say, as desired, or we will say it is not going to be like that. Only some parts, yes, in pockets, it may be decent one, but that will include southern parts only, and some parts, possibly extreme northern parts, hilly areas of the northern India, but distribution is not going to be equitable. Yes.
Distribution might not be equitable, but you talked about how the southern part is likely to get more rainfall. But as you pointed out, the northern region, which is the agri belt, might get less rainfall. Could you talk to us about what could be that number? Is it going to be, let's say, 90 to 95% of normal? Could it be lower than that? Because in that case, the agri output will get impacted, and then it will have a domino effect on inflation, etc. as well.
You see, more than the number, what matters is we call it as a spectrometer distribution, the spatial and timely distribution. Even if the rain is a little less, but then if it comes timely and quantum of rain is as much needed, the deficiency may not impact us largely. Okay, but then it doesn't look like happening. The rainfall is going to be below normal in this belt. Particularly, you see the northern parts of India, as such, the monsoon arrives end of June, sometime even first week of July. So June is not the month of monsoon for North India, where that's Punjab, Haryana region, which is the agri bowl also. It largely, they have 2 months, which is July and August only. September, it starts withdrawing only. But yes, the central parts, they go through the complete almost 4 months of season, and so are the eastern parts and the northeastern parts. But then looking at this scenario, the deficiency is going to be a little large. Possibly we can see a deficiency of even from 15-20% in many of the pockets where which we talk about the central and the northern parts, well below normal rainfall over those parts. Only decent, as I said, is possible in southern parts and the northeast India. Yes.
Sharma, on that note, we let you go. Appreciate you joining us on the show. So after the weather talk, let's talk technical as well. Kunal,